Welcome to my beginner's guide to creating your first app. And we're going to make a Hygge app today, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to enjoy it, and not only that, it's going to be good for your students' well-being once they've made it. So today's coding will include displaying text, pictures and icons, list handling, inputting text. Those are the main concepts we're going to go through. Now, there are going to be some aspects I skip over a little bit quickly and a few things you might need to take on choice. But I want to stress with you that this is about you having fun, enjoying, not about getting hopelessly lost. So to make sure that you don't get hopelessly lost, I've created a special GitHub little account here, and you can see here step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So if at any point you've lost it, I will tell you which step you're at. You can just copy and paste the code in and you'll be bang up to date. So literally keep calm and copy and paste. I know that's the best way to learn. My students tell me so. And so just go to the GitHub page there, either that or the QR code, and that's available. Now, in this session, you can either use an iPad or you can use a MacBook, but in either case, you've got to have Playgrounds 4.1. There is a direct link from the Hygge page that I put up. So, with all that ready, you're ready to roll. So, Playgrounds 4.1. It is the latest version. You need to have it. Your macOS needs to be up to date, or your iPad needs to be up to date with that 4.1 version. Otherwise, you can't make direct apps. If that's the case, feel free to follow along, but you won't be able to interact and do it as you go. Right, so the first thing you're going to see is that there's a plus app button. So when you open up your Swift Playgrounds, you can either open up an app or a playground if you have version 4.1. 4.0 and below, you can only make playgrounds. Okay, and then you'll get something that shows my app. Might be a different color, might have a different icon, because they generate these randomly. If you made a few apps already, it might be my app copy 2, something like that. But you should have something showing my app, and it won't be completely blank. Now, if you're on the iPad, it's important for you to know about a few buttons. They've maximized the space on the iPad so that you can use this real estate as effectively as possible. I recommend using it in landscape. So the first one is this button here, and it opens up these settings here with the files. So that's a really important thing for you to see. And then over the other side is the app preview. Right, so there are 2 files. Now for beginners, the My App page you can largely leave alone. As apps get bigger, then this page becomes important. But for today, we're not going to touch this My App file at all. What is very important is the Content View file. So Content View, that's the one we got, and you should have this amount of code in here. So there's a little bit of code, so you're not intimidated by a blank screen. Let's have a look in a bit more detail. So firstly, you're going to see a globe. So that's a little icon that's built in. We're saying the size of it is large and the color is red, accent color. And finally, there's a piece of text which says hello world. So those are what those 4 lines are doing. Everything above that you won't need to touch. So let's have a little bit of fun. Let's modify this and see what you can do. Large, medium and small, and these are the standard colors. You can have any color you like. There are lots of other settings, but I think these are the standard ones to have a play with to begin with. Pause it here, have a play with it. When you're happy, come back. Right, let's talk about the VStack. So in today's, we're not going to go beyond VStacks. We're just going to do VStacks. And what does it mean? It means a vertical stack. And it literally means everything comes down 1 to 10. Now, if you get more sophisticated, you will discover that 10 is a limit, but it's a limit that can be very easily overcome. So 1 to 10, and that's your vertical stack. and how you go. There are other types of stacks which, as you become more sophisticated, you'll start to use. But today we're just looking at the vertical stack. So, can you spot the difference? Hope you all got it. That's right. I swapped over the hello world. Notice the parts with the dot also need to be moved at the same time. Right, now what we have here is a bug. Have a look carefully. What is this bug? Can you see it? Okay. Watch out, Swift is case sensitive. So small letter text is not the same as big letter text. Okay. As I said, if you do get stuck and there's a bug and you can't solve it, in today's session, each of the steps will be available, so you can always copy and paste in and it won't cause you any difficulty. So step one, you're going to see the first batch of steps. Right, so the first thing we've got to do is we've got to leave everything inside the VStack. Okay, and then we are going to use the content view and go through it. I'm just going to take you through it step by step as I type it up. So first thing, as I said, is I'm going to delete. And then I'm going to start typing. Now, please note that it tries to do this in real time. So errors are going to come up as you can't run the program at this point. So it is giving you hints and tips as you go along. The first thing we're doing is making a function, and this is a piece of code we can call from anywhere in the program, and it's going to return a string, which is numbers and letters. And we're going to let things equal. So this is going to be a list. It's a list we don't change when we're actually running the program. Okay, so we're just going to put in 2 for now, just to give you an idea. So at this stage, we've created a function, and one of the most common things is we forget to return something, or we forget to actually call it in the first place. Now what we're doing here is returning the string. Okay, so that's the first bit, and at the moment it's not going to really do much. So let's look at the next one. So what we're going to do here is we are going to add a variable, and this state command tells Swift to keep an eye on this variable when it's actually working. So we're going to create a variable. We're going to call it good things prompt, and that is going to call the function and pop it into the variable. And then in our VStack, we're going to add some text to display. And, you know, it could display one of 2 random things. Now, because it's only 2 random things, it's going to quite often do the same thing time and time again. So let's see how we go. No, same again, same again, same again. Oh, changed. Okay, so as you can see, it's going to go through the 2. Now, even on this very basic app, you've got enough there to do some quite interesting things. So let's just have a little look. So we have this random list function, and we have a variable monitored in the view. So that's your code so far. Pause it if you need to have a go, or you can just copy and paste the step 1 in. So what I want to ask you is, what else could you make with this code? Few ideas that come to mind for me as magic 8 ball, dice, story prompts, random name generators. All of these can be made with just this code. Now this is super basic and doesn't do much. So now we're going to look at step 2 and start to make this into a really nice app. And so for this to be a Hygge app, we actually need to be able to input something. So we need to declare a text string for each item, and we need to add those text fields. So what you can see here is first, and that's what appears before you type anything. So, and that's the variable. There's a dollar in front of it. I'm not going to explain that now, but it is very important with this particular command. And these are the commands. Again, pause the video right now if you need to. Run it, check it's okay, and that's step 2. Now we're moving on to step 3. And here we're going to make it so you don't have to just keep rerunning and rerunning. You can actually use a button. And so this button creates a prompt. So it says new prompt and the guide to call function. Okay, so that keeps on calling up our function so that we can have a random prompt whenever we would like. And so that gets added now, and now you have a fully functional app. It's not very pretty yet, but it's functional. Again, run it, pause it if you haven't quite got everything. Right, on to step 4. So with step 4, we going to have a look at the text, going to have a look how we can play with the text a little bit. So we've got the font, title, padding, and foreground. Padding is really useful because it gives space around it and makes it look proper. Otherwise it goes right to the edge, which can be useful in some circumstances, but we'd like a little padding. We'd like to make it look nice in the window. Okay, and this is where it goes in here. As you can see, it is that vertical stack, so each one goes from top to bottom. And if we want to have a play, these are some of the common font choices: bold, italics, and the bottom one is if you want a code style of font. And those are the colors, the fairly standard colors that are used. And now we have an image. Now, if you're on the iPad, you need to press that left icon here and then add your file. On Mac, you just go to the file menu, add file. And you add your image. Remember what you called it. In my case, I called an image called Sunset. And let's see how we can use that in code. So please pause here if you haven't actually put the picture in. So here we are, image, and I called it Sunset. You don't need the .jpeg or PNG or whatever, just the file name is enough. Please try to keep the capitalization the same. And we've made it resizable and scale to fit. That just means that regardless of the size of the window, it won't change the size of the iPad window as well, which doesn't change so much as an iPad unless you're multitasking or something, but still important. So add that in, and I just put mine near the top. Now finally, you probably want to give your name to an app, and you want to make an icon. So you can pick an icon from the placeholders, or you can put your own image in. So on Mac OS it's pretty simple, and on iPad you can pick from your images quite easily. Now, what I've talked about so far is making your first app and just giving you a flavor and helping you understand a little bit of the basics. If you're planning to teach GCSE, or you want to know the kind of code that's required for 16-year-olds for IGCSE and GCSE in the UK, then this guide will help you and gives you all the common algorithms that are going to be used. I think it's really useful, even if you're not teaching GCSE, to know where they should be going towards. Also, I am building my YouTube channel, so I would love a sub, and I will keep on adding things as I teach new things to my students next year. I'll keep on adding new Swift tutorials. I do quite a lot of Python tutorials and the odd occasional Scratch tutorial as well. So please, I'd love a sub. If you've thought all of this is way too easy, then do feel free to go for the 100 days of Swift UI. The pace is quite fast, particularly if you haven't coded in another language before. But any of those three things are really happy, and I hope you've enjoyed today's tutorial. Thank you very much.